在疫情笼罩的氛围下，人们的衣食住行有了巨大变化，并带来了新生活模式、新追求。和冠病对抗的过程中，一些人添加了不同的身份，有人开启了创业道路，有人重新诠释生活，也有人迎接新生命的到来。36岁的新手妈妈陈思涵，一家3口其乐融融。戴着口罩的儿子许玉德今年2岁，他打从一出世就生活在一个非常态的疫情世界里。思涵是一名时装设计师，和先生一起开创了自己的时装品牌。宝宝诞生后，迎来了新喜悦，却碰上了疫情最严重的时期，时装生意一落千丈。
So in 2020, after I gave birth and had a month of confinement, the lockdown happened. So my confinement kind of got extended. And I must say it has been quite a difficult process during that time because I'm a new mom and it's not easy and I have no help. And so with that extended confinement, I start to feel down. I just don't feel like dressing up and I just don't feel myself anymore. And then one day I just told myself I need to snap out of it. I need to be happy so that my child can be happy. I need to feel myself again. So that's when I start to make it a point, even if I'm stuck at home, I still dress up and I still need to feel good about myself. Because when I feel good about myself, it really shows and my baby can feel it. So I think it will affect myself, affect people around us.
疫情或许冲击了生活，但心态左右了未来。疫情前，25岁的新晋裁缝汪胜文想通过自己的努力提升别人衣食住行的品味。
If I cycle to work, I will always wear like an exercise outfit. But if I actually take the train, I will make an effort to dress a bit more and looking a little bit better. I started cycling because I wanted to lose weight because I actually gained a good 10 kg over the whole period of circuit breaker and I wanted to start exercising. But towards the second half of last year, I actually started to stop taking a pay just because business wasn't doing so well, sales wasn't that good. So it wasn't by choice, but I needed to cycle just to save that $1-2.
胜文为了运动而骑脚踏车上班的初衷，却成了节省车费的窘境。这是他在决定创业时始料未及的状况。
Well, I'm actually a tailor. I own my own tailoring company. Just 3 days after I took my first order, the announcement of circuit breaker was released and I was shut down for 3 months. I thought that was the end, and in fact, it was very slow. The months were very dry. There was a lot of expenses, unforeseen expenses that I didn't envision at the start.
尴尬的创业时机点一度让胜文感到沮丧，而开始怀疑自己的决定。
I was like, this is the worst time to actually start a business, right? I mean, you hear about so many businesses that are like closing down, they have no sales, and here I am starting a business in like one of the most difficult industries probably, right? First you have COVID, then you have men's fashion, which is, I mean, honestly, how many men actually shops?
胜文原本修读酒店管理课程，后来发现那不是自己的兴趣所在。毕业后就到一位服装设计师旗下实习工作了几年。他的梦想是自立门户，当一名定制男装裁缝。在廉价成衣充斥的市场，定制服装价位高，一套手工西装动辄叫价1000元以上，一件衬衣也需要几百元。但胜文相信，做工精细、质量上等的服装，即使是在疫情期间，还是会有特定客户愿意上门花钱定制。
I typically don't spend much on my dressing. In general day-to-day stuff, I won't spend. But if Like, I need something for a special occasion. You need that shirt. You need those 1 or 2 formal wears that you go to presentation, you look sharp, you stand out, you impress. I was willing to pay a premium.
我发现迪伦对于时装的观念啊，他对于时装的这个爱好，我很喜欢他的热忱。之前有试过一次裤子，然后我觉得穿得蛮好的，所以我想说，就跟他定制一件新的西装。我本身觉得说，一个人穿着代表着他的性格、他的个性，无论是什么场合，我都尽量让自己觉得说自己穿得得体。疫情的时候，肯定在家里的时候就不会穿得那么的隆重，但是能够出去的时候，那就尽量穿得好一点。
现在给你穿下你的外套。
盛文还负担不起像样的店面，接待客户的地方也是他的工作室。阻断措施期间，没人上门，租金还是得继续支付。盛文坦言，这段期间他一度陷入3餐不继的困境，陷入低潮的不仅仅是收入，还有自己的情绪。
It was very suffocating, right, to constantly have that lockdown. I think it played a huge part in getting customers in because of that uncertainty, right? That they will think like, oh, do I actually need clothes? If I don't, then why would I go and buy? So I think that actually affect like the sales part of it.
在几乎没有收入的时期，盛文曾经去当送餐员，也到朋友的店里兼差。疫情下创业不容易，但妈妈却在精神上默默支持，相信疫情打击不了儿子提升衣着品味的志向。
他从小就是自己打扮，头发啊、服装啊都是自己来。他从小就好像喜欢绑头发啊，衣服就要他敢穿不同的颜色，不像人家这个颜色不可以，他什么颜色他都敢穿。
阴霾中也有放晴的时刻，换上自己最爱的日常衣着，盛文也享受着轻松的当下。
I don't really care much about the word fashion, but I would say what matters more to me is the style, right? Your personal style, where it's something very unique to each person. In terms of clothing, I think comfort is key, right? At the end of the day, if you're comfortable in a piece of item, a piece of clothing, you do not have to worry about how you look, and when you're comfortable, you feel confident, the world's your oyster.
疫情期间，却想把生活过得有滋有味的是这位把新加坡全岛走透透的网红妮妮江婉妮。
疫情带来了许多限制，却让我想要去户外探索。慢慢走，可以发现平时被忽略的地方。
疫情改变了我们的生活，颠覆了我们的衣食住行，甚至转换了我们的心态。
骑行是一种我喜欢的探索新加坡的方式。探索新加坡让我有机会认识这个城市，也让我有机会认识身边的人们。生活不一定要很复杂，我喜欢简单的生活，也喜欢从生活中发现美的感动。这是一个沼泽哎，快看，还可以洗鞋子在这里。我们发现了一条4脚蛇在草丛里面。这个地方呢，就是我们今天的终点——克兰芝 Marshes 的观鸟台，我们就上去看一下吧。日出马上要出来了，现在呢骑了33公里，马上就要到100公里了，通往新加坡的。我是江婉妮，我今年28岁，我是一名产品设计师，平时也喜欢拍视频，和大家分享我的生活。我觉得这场疫情对我来讲，它让我们的生活放慢了步调。 在疫情之前，所有的人每天都像赶火车一样，就是不停的每件事情在不停的上演。但是疫情一来，我们每个人都有更多私人的时间，然后就让我们放下了步调啊，然后就去真正注意生活的本质。然后因为疫情整天都待在家里，然后我就开始觉得家里东西太多，好像变得很负担这样子。所以我疫情期间我其实丢了很多东西，我也审视我家里的每一件物品啦。我觉得我真正喜欢的、有实用的、有用到的，我才会留下来。然后我就把那些我可能几年都没有用过的东西，我就把它舍弃了，包括沙发。我会不时的去做清理的这个动作，我会定期的去把我衣橱的所有的衣服都拿出来，如果我不常穿的，我可能就会把它给断舍离掉。其实我日常穿衣服都是很简约型的，然后我衣橱里面的风格也是很简单，比如说是像这样的衬衫是平常工作会穿的，然后平常休闲穿的呢就是像这样的 T 恤，会有大概3、4件，对，然后它们的颜色大部分都是大地色系。OK， 然后这边呢是我裤子的部分。所以我所有的牛仔裤我都把它们折好，按颜色排列放在这个抽屉里面，这样子我每天做选择的时候就会很清楚我要挑选哪一件，就会一目了然。在穿衣服的部分呢，我就会把它简约化，我就不需要做太多的选择，就我每天一睡醒，哦，这就是我的衣服，我不需要做太多其他的选择。因为当你把你需要做选择的部分减少过后呢，你生活自然而然就会变得比较简单，没有这么多压力。
疫情带给婉妮的是整个生活形态的改变，所有非必需品对她来说都是累赘。
以前化一个妆费很多时间在上面，然后现在不用化眼妆就直接出门了。我只是打个底，然后涂个口红，让自己气色更好一点，就是并不会花更多的时间跟精力在上面。以前我是留很长的头发，头发也花了很多时间去弄，因为要搭配衣服嘛，整体的风格。然后现在剪了短头发，就很容易不需要去花太多的精力在这个造型上面。我也是经历过这样一个阶段，就是会喜欢买很多的衣服、跟化妆品、跟饰品、跟包包。但那个阶段是我刚刚毕业，然后人生中的第一份工作，自己赚到钱很开心，然后就会买很多自己想要的东西。这个阶段很辛苦、很累，因为你一直要去投资不同的衣服的款式啊，然后投资不同的化妆品，其实它变成了一个经济负担。物质上减少了，你就有时间去思考其他的东西。其实内心的清理跟外面的清理是有连接的，你把外面的物品给清理的更少、更简单，其实你内心也会相对来讲变得更简单一点。我从开始拍摄视频过后，我觉得我的整个生活的重心就变得比较户外，比较想要去探索生活新鲜的一些体验感这样子。比如说我出去拍摄的时候，我不会把重点放在我那天上镜要穿什么衣服上面。没有疫情之前呢，我会想着每半年会想要出国旅游嘛。但是因为疫情没有办法出国，所以大部分时间在新加坡，我就会尽量的去挖掘一些我没有去过的地方。然后我就发现，其实我家楼下的树也很美，然后家里附近公园其实也很好玩，不一定要去国外花这么大价钱，然后去很远的地方。其实你在新加坡有很多地方都还未被探索，然后有很多地方的风景都很美。 那个感觉很奇妙，就是感觉那个自然的美，就让你觉得其实生活好美好哦。
简约的生活，简单的装扮，让婉妮找到了快乐。然而，对于时装设计师陈思涵，美丽的衣裳才能带来快乐。生活难过时，更需要衣装来提升正能量。搭配服饰的口罩是疫情下的时尚设计。
Hi Cheyenne, we have some more that we need to pack for today.
服装设计师陈思涵在2009年开始创立自己的服装品牌，打响了知名度。过去几年推出了以本地美食为主题的系列女装，因为富有本地色彩，吸引了不少外国客户。事业顺遂发展，直到2020年初。
When the pandemic first happened, our business is definitely affected because more and more people are staying at home and tourists are not coming in. Fashion is not something that one would think of as essential in the beginning.
疫情下游客不来，影响服装销量。即使有外国客户网上下单，也无法做成生意。
Was hit pretty badly. Some countries were not accepting parcels coming in from Singapore, so our parcels were being returned from overseas. So, which video are we looking at today? Both are.
许德才是思涵的先生，也是他事业上的合作伙伴。在疫情下，两人需要不断做出各种尝试。
No, before this video that you showed.
We kind of pivoted to selling masks during that period, so people were buying, yeah. But of course, it doesn't cover a big percentage of what we do, but it's like it gave us hope to think of more pivoting ideas.
疫情下的生活容易变得苦闷压抑。思涵希望美丽的服饰能够为自己，也为大家带来欢乐。
What I always tell my customers is you should wear whatever makes you feel confident because when you're confident, you're happy with yourself. It just shows on yourself and it shows to people around you. And I think that's why it's important to dress up for yourself.
思涵的顾客中也不乏一群和他理念相近的同路人。
I appreciate fashion. I appreciate good design. It's my way of expressing myself, whether it's through my clothes, my accessories, it's part of my persona. It's how I make myself feel good during the pandemic. And I will not let COVID or the pandemic stop me from feeling good about myself. So yes, there's no change for me. It's just a lifestyle.
和李金春一样不受疫情影响自己装扮热忱和心情的，还有孙佳怡教授。
I was inspired by this because everyone in the office loves to eat this breakfast.
I do need to dress up early in the morning at 8:30 just to feel like I'm going to work, and then wear my nice pieces of necklace, and then making sure that I'm all proper, just like I'm going to work, even though that I'm working from home.
Nice. I love this shape of you.
I do teach in the university, and there are 300 or maybe even more students looking at me. I can't be actually wearing a t-shirt or something. I think dressing well actually portrays the right image. I would wear something like even a cheongsam or like nice clothing at home, walking around.
My dressing style has been the same pre-COVID or during COVID. I just wear whatever that makes me feel comfortable and confident in who I feel as myself. I like colors, I like layering, I like playing with textures, and this is something that can be seen on me and also in my brand as well.
在经历了2年疫情后，思涵观察到人们对衣装需求上的一些转变。
I think I do see people starting to put more colors out there. Yeah, it's because they just want to feel better, feel more colorful. I think people start to want to dress up. I really hope for one day for the pandemic to stop and we can be mask-free. That's one thing I'm looking forward to.
自小看着爸爸妈妈戴着口罩长大的宝宝已经2岁了。疫情依然伴随着我们，而你我也悄然有了变化。
这片森林真的非常原始，感觉像是没有被开发过的地方。
COVID really taught me a lot. Let's say if COVID didn't happen, and then I, as a kind of a workaholic, I wouldn't have spent so much time with my child. And I'm really thankful looking back that I got to spend so much, like almost 24/7 every day with him and seeing him grow up.
如果没有疫情，我可能不会有拍摄视频，我可能就一毕业我就会去马上找工作，然后就会回归了他们所谓的就是正常的轨道这样子。
If there's no COVID, guys will still find excuses to dress badly. My heart goes out to you girls.